Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is The Pylon, an NFC North podcast, and we're recording this on Wednesday night, getting ready for the upcoming Week 3 of the NFL season. I'm Big Z, representing the Detroit Lions, and we're going to go around. So we got Kinger representing the Pack.
Gentlemen, good to be back again.
Then we got Barney representing the Bears.
Bear down, fellas.
And then we got Remy representing the Vikings. Hopefully you're in a better mood tonight, Remy.
Don't stop believing, baby. Skull to the bowl.
There it is. There it is, baby. All right. So, I mean, maybe a couple days for you to cool off there, Remy, or just get, or I think you said you had some good sushi tonight. Maybe you're just in a good mood. But we'll see how the rest of this podcast goes for you here. So we're gonna be previewing Week 3 of the NFL season, and again, the Bears and Packers at 2-0, so the top of the division, and the Lions at a familiar place at the bottom, and then at 0-2, and then the Vikings also sit at 0-2 right now. But before we get into previewing these games, we want to go around really quick and just get an injury update for all our teams. So, Kinger, can you start us with the Pack? And is there many updates this week or heading into Week 3?
Yeah, so the Packers are still dealing with, obviously, the number one main concern and the area which everyone's looking at Week 2 is Kenny Clark. Still no practice for him today, still working in that rehab group. So will be interesting to see what happens here, but I'm guessing that we're trending towards no Kenny Clark here in Week 3. Devontae did not practice either today. They're saying he's got a hamstring injury again. I don't think it's going to be too serious, but we're probably 50-50 on him as well. The good news is our rookie tight end, Josiah DeGuara, returned to practice today after having a pretty solid performance in Week 1, missing Week 2 with the shin ankle injury. He's back, and Lindsley practiced as well after spraining his thumb last week. So obviously two big names with Kenny and Devontae, but other than that, the Packers are pretty healthy heading into Week 3.
All right, how about Remy with the Vikings?
Yeah, guys. Well, more bad news out of Minnesota. Our injury report going into Week 3, Cam Dantzler's obviously still on that injury report with his ribs. He did not participate in practice all week. Added to the injury report is now starting cornerback Mike Hughes with the neck injury. And Viking fans, you got to remember when he hurt his neck, Week 17 against the Bears, meaningless game. Vikings were already in the playoffs, and he hurt his neck, which kept him out of the playoffs the whole time. So you got to be concerned that another starting corner is hurt with the same injury that lingered that keep him from the postseason last year. Third string running back Mike Boone, concussion. He didn't practice. And then Riley Reif, our tackle, limited participation, ankle injury for him. And then we still got Daniil out for one more week on the IR. We hope he's back for Week 4, but our corners are already thin. They are more thin than ever before.
Is that it?
well, hey, I think Remy didn't hear the Anthony Barr update, right? Or a torn pec muscle, out for the season.
Oh yeah. He's out for the season. That's a blow to the linebacker. For some reason, I thought we talked about that Sunday night, but maybe we didn't.
Well, you had mentioned that the early reports were a shoulder injury, so I don't think there was too much cause of concern, right?
Yeah. They had said shoulder injury, and then Monday came out and said it was a torn pec and that he's out for the season. So huge blow to the linebacking core. Eric Wilson now has to step up and be the second guy next to Kendricks. You got to think that they maybe give Kendricks Anthony Barr's captain position, since Kendricks is one of the top linebackers in football. But yeah, big blow. Anthony Barr is a great pass rusher. Adversity, man, you got to love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So who? Let's go over to Chicago now. Barney, what's
for
going
us,
on there?
it's a relatively clean sheet this week. We had a couple guys, Ted Ginn, Jimmy Graham, and Danny Trevathan have veteran day off today, but no injury to note. John Jenkins, our backup D tackle, he's used in rotation. He didn't practice today. He had a thumb injury. Khalil Mack was limited with his knee, but he's assured everybody he's a full go this weekend. But some good news, Robert Quinn practiced in full, and it looks like he's kicked the training wheels off and he's ready to go.
All right, that's a lot. That's pretty good news with when injuries are ravaging the entire NFL. The Bears seem to have relatively escaped it. It seems so far. And then just going over to Detroit here, the list is much longer. Justin Coleman still remains on IR. So does our starting left guard, Joe Dahl. So those names withstanding, we have Kenny Galladay actually returning to practice this week. He looks like he'll be ready to go for week 3, barring any setbacks this week in practice. So that's a huge boost for our offense. Our third-string tight end, Hunter Bryant, was practicing and limitedly. Our starting right tackle, Big V, or Hala Vitae, was also limited. Nick Williams, our starting D tackle, also limited practice. So hopefully we can get Big V back at right tackle, and we need every D lineman possible at this point after seeing them not stop the run last week against Green Bay. So Nick Williams we could really use back. Desmond Trufant, still not back. It does not look like he will be starting. So Jeff Okudah will get his second NFL start, and this time it's against Kyler Murray. But we'll get into that a little bit later in this podcast. So that's the injury update. But let's move on to now previewing week 3 of the NFL season, and we're just going to go in order from these games from noon to the late night one. And so let's start at the noon game, and we're going to start with you, Barney. The Chicago Bears send that 2-0, traveling to Atlanta. And what's the line on this game, Barney?
The line right now is at 4. I'm pretty confident.
The Bears are underdogs.
Underdogs, right?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, Bears are underdogs at Atlanta.
How do you feel? Should the Bears is that justified or unjustified?
I mean, it's fine. I don't think the Bears in their victories did anything, convincing that they, should be a clear favorite or anything like that. And it's a home game for them, so I think it's a little high, to be honest. I think the Bears are the better team. I would expect the Bears, especially at the way that the injuries have played out right now. Like I said, we're relatively clean, but the Falcons seem to be struggling in that department. Right now, they have 3 of their starting DBs out with a foot, hip, and an elbow injury. Julio Jones right now tweaked his hamstring. You got both their edge rushers, Tack McKinley and Dante Fowler, having injuries. They didn't practice today. And both their tackles, Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry, look to be out for this game as well. So really beat up. All those guys that I mentioned didn't practice. I'm not saying that they all won't play. I'm sure, some of them will be a game time decision and whatnot. But relatively, I mean, that's a pretty beat up team right now. We're talking about 9 guys that are starting that might not be out there. So, and honestly, them coming off that game versus Dallas, very unimpressive game. I went back and watched it. I know there was a lot of points. They lost 39-38 or 40-39.
40-39.
Yeah,
a wild onside kick.
They scored 20 of their points in the first quarter, and the reason why I say it was unimpressive is because Dallas turned the ball over 3 times in that first quarter, in their own territory, and then they did a fake punt on like their own 25 and failed that. So, the game should have had they been a better team. I think their defense really struggles. I think their offense is something to definitely worry about, even with Julio Jones out, if he doesn't play, because Calvin Ridley's just a monster.
Yeah, he's really good.
But I don't know. I like our chances here. Just a beat-up team, a team that lacks leadership on defense. This is the kind of circumstances that'll allow a very good offense like that to maybe be stifled with their hardest defensive opponent so far in this short season.
Kinger.
Yeah, I think that
heading into this week, I think you really just set the stage well. This has got to be a big week for Mitch, right? That all those injuries you just mentioned, the Falcons coming off really a deflating loss last week to Dallas, just blowing it at the end. In the dome inside against obviously a very shaky Atlanta defense. So this has got to be Mitch's time as a Bears fan. The Bears, you got to be looking for him to really step up and show that there's the offense is going to continue to trend in a positive direction.
Right. And it's not a tall task ahead for somebody that wants the starting position and believes he should be the guy. Like I said, they got a quality offense, and this is a good team. They are pretty awful right now on defense, and so take that kind of size of your opponent, and it's got to be a game that Mitch Trubisky takes to his own. He's got to go out there and play.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. It's definitely a good opportunity for Mitch Trubisky to shine offensively. But one of the more interesting matchups I'm going to look for in this one, Barney, at least, is who Jalen Johnson matches up with. He's a rookie cornerback, and he's graded out, I think, as a top 5 cornerback per PFF right now. I think that's always more of a product of the Bears pass rush than it is the cornerback. But I admit, he's done a good job. He played in the Lions game. But if Julio plays or if he's matched up with Calvin Ridley, I think that'll be really something to watch. Because I think those will be – if he faces one of those two, that'll be the best wide receiver he's faced so far this year, and against a much better offensive line, so he'll have to prove himself a little more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I just want to highlight somebody that I don't think gets a lot of credit around the league. Kyle Fuller, I don't even think he's given up a reception yet this year. He's, I think, the number 1 corner in the league, PFF graded, or at least close to there. But he's just doing an outstanding job. Has an interception. But like you said, Jalen Johnson, this will be a big task, whether or not Julio's out there, because who they're going to line up really just goes with the scheme that Dan Quinn rolls with. Because we don't have traveling corners. They play their sides, and so whoever the hell they're going to match up with is where the Falcons line up. So it'll be definitely interesting. Gage. I don't even know who that guy is, but apparently he's stepped into that wide receiver 3 shoes and has done a great job. So, I mean, this offense is tough. They got Gurley. I think the way to beat these guys is make sure that running attack can't get rolling. If we can stifle that, and like I said, with what's showing right now is both their tackles out. It's a big day for Akeem Hicks, for Khalil Mack, for Robert Quinn. If we can, force them to have to throw and disrupt their timing, then it's up to Mitch to just make sure we score more points than the Falcons.
And Barney, I have the PFF rankings up right now. Kyle Fuller actually 29th right now in PFF rankings. Jalen Johnson 4th, and you know who number 1 is?
Who's
Tigger?
that?
Do you have a guess?
Jairi?
No, it's Jair Alexander right now. So
fraudulent.
Not surprised to hear that one bit.
Remy, I do not see a Vikings player on this list, and Justin Coleman's on there for the Lions, but he only played 1 game, so and half of a game at that, so that doesn't really count. So, but man,
way to just call me on my bullshit there, Big Z.
I had to correct the record for listeners,
I don't know how the hell PFF grades, but I'm pretty sure when you don't let up a reception, you have an interception. I'm pretty sure that's all you can ask for. But go on. I said, no respect. We get no respect.
It said he's given up 6 receptions on 15 targets towards him.
Quit calling me out, dude.
All right, so let's go around and give our predictions. So, Barney, what do you got in this game?
This game could go any way. I don't think it's as ugly. I think it's going to test us. I think we're going to have to put points up to win this game. I think both teams go over the 20 mark. I'd say Bears win 27-24.
All right. I'm going to go 31-28 Falcons just because they're at home. It will be a high-scoring game. This could be easily be a 3-point way the other way, but I have the Falcons pulling it out. Kinger?
Yeah, I got 31-24 Falcons as well. I think the Falcons offense is going to be too much for the Bears defense.
Remy?
I got 28-24 Falcons. Falcons are heated after last game. They've studied the onside kick, and Mitch will continue to be Mitch for 3 quarters, and we'll see where that leads you.
Let's go back to. I got 2 things. That onside kick was that was the worst. That was the worst performance from a receiving team I've ever seen. Like, they could have jumped on the ball, before it got to the 10 yards, and they just
5 yards. Yeah,
it was crazy. They just let it walk in. I mean, that was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But kudos to Dallas for doing that. But fellas, you know what? All 3 of your guys' predictions right there just gave me conviction. Because last time you guys all went 3 against me. Well, we all know what happened week 1. So, thank you for that. Thank you for that vote of confidence.
All right, let's move on now to the next game that we want to preview, and that is Tennessee Titans going to Minnesota. So Minnesota hosting the Titans. This is also a noon game. Remy, how you feeling, man? All these injuries piling up. Anthony Barr out for the year. A Tennessee Titans team that's really tough against the run. We saw them give up a lot of running yards against Jonathan Taylor last week. Do you expect them to sell out for the run in this game?
Yeah, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you have to stop Derrick Henry first and foremost. But I mean, all-time record Vikings 9-4 against the Titans, 7-1 at home. Which this year home games don't really mean anything, at least in Minnesota. It's week 2 and we're 0-2. Viking fans, as down as I may get sometimes, don't give up, because last season, week 5, we were 2-2. There's already Trevor Lawrence photoshopped Vikings jerseys. There's already Tank for Trevor hashtags. Please stop what you're doing and just set your phone down and just keep believing. Because this is a team that just faces adversity every year, whether Teddy goes down with his knee or Adrian Peterson getting suspended. Mike Zimmer has had eye surgery midway through the season and is coached with an eye patch. Minnesota's always faced adversity, and there's no excuses. But no, Tennessee, you got to stop the run game. You got to get to the quarterback. These D linemen with Daniil and Michael Pierce out is just it's rough, and guys need to start stepping up. And then your linebacker gets hurt with Anthony Barr, the play caller on the defense. You got to step up, and these corners are getting eaten alive. I believe Jeff Gladney had 8 targets, and all of his 8 targets are thrown at where he had 8 catches on him, and he is just bad. So he's got to pick it up. These young corners, as we've seen also with Mike Hughes getting hurt, they've got to step up. When their number is called, they got to go make a play. Also a little disappointed with how our safeties are, Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris. You got 2 of the top 5 safeties. Yes, 2 of the top 5 safeties in the league on the same team. I said it. I'll take the grill and the heat later. How they've got to be better over the top. And I thought that they would come out at least helping that with Green Bay. Nope. And then they can't stop the run. So, Minnesota fans, we got to win this game. And I'm sick of seeing the tank for Trevor.
I was listening to another podcast from Warren Sharp earlier today, actually. And he mentioned that the Vikings are bottom 5 right now in play action passes, which is kind of shocking.
Very shocking.
Considering
that's Kirk's forte.
Exactly.
Matt
I'm confused. What is going on? Like,
so
the defense is ravaged by injuries, but this is something they control, and they're not doing it. It doesn't make any sense.
Kirk's not getting the ball out quick. He's not seeing the open receiver. He had Irv Smith wide open in the end zone last season, but he was so focused when he's in the red zone on Kyle Rudolph that he just threw it out of bounds. I believe he might have hit the crossbar. He just threw it out of bounds. Kirk is one of the best in play action, especially when he rolls out, and it's just not there. They're not biting it, and they're just being defended. And guys like Justin Jefferson now have to step up and take the pressure off of Thielen, because I believe a good reason why that worked so well was because of Stephon Diggs last year. You got to step up, fill that gap. Justin Jefferson should be wide receiver 2 from going out. Olabisi Johnson has no business being on wide receiver 2. And that's my take on that. Vikings win 17-14, low scoring game.
Ooh.
Kirk, prove me wrong.
All right. Barney, what do you feel in this game?
Dude, when you look at these two teams, I mean, they're built very similar. They have like a decent quarterback. They pound the run, and they live by play action. Both teams do that usually very well. On defense, before all the injuries, they looked like both very good defenses to start the year. So really, it's just going to come down to who I think can dictate the tempo with the run, and I'm gonna with the injuries and the corners, I think I'm gonna give the edge here to Tennessee. I think it'll be a low scoring game just because I think there'll be a lot of running, especially if it's successful on both sides. But with those rookie corners, I know, is H.A. Brown out? I think that might have been an injury that happened, but regardless, he's out. Corey Davis has really played like he's trying to get that next contract and stay in the league here.
He's much better lately.
So I'm gonna give a thin edge here to Tennessee. Just a really good defense, complete defense, and as long as they can run the ball and be able to have that play action working, which I think they will, Tennessee should probably have the victory here.
What score do you have?
Let's say 24-13 Tennessee.
Well, all right. A dominant performance. All right. Kinger, how you feeling?
This is a game that I have bounced back and forth on all day, to be honest, because it's so hard for me. Minnesota as a 2-point underdog at home, they still, to me, feel like they're a better team than what they've showed this season. Tennessee overall has been unimpressive, but I think their formula sets up well against Minnesota. Barney already mentioned it. They both love to run the play action. Tannehill's been elite as a play action quarterback, top of the NFL in regards to overall stats in that category the last couple of years. The Vikings loaded the box week one against Green Bay and got torched. They're going to have to do that again versus Derrick Henry. I like the Titans to win this game 23-17.
All right. And I also like it's crazy. The whole NFC North is getting no respect this week. Everybody's an underdog this week, all of us. So, take that at what you will. But I do like this matchup for the Titans against the Vikings. Maybe if the Vikings are at full health, I'd love them, but they are definitely far from it at this point, and it's hard not to pick the Titans in this one. So I'm going to go with them 23-14. That's how I feel.
No love.
So sorry,
the
Remy.
Vikings, or the Titans have like 10 guys out. That's fine. Go look at that injury report.
All right, man. But I think the Titans' offense is clicking much better right now than the Vikings. So
can't argue.
Outside of their respective teams, we've got the whole podcast against the Bears and the Vikings this week.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Kinger. We're coming for you too.
I'm sure you will be.
All right, so let's move on to the third game of the weekend, and that's my Detroit Lions going to Arizona, 5.5-point underdogs against this Arizona team is cooking right now. They're 2-0. Kyler Murray is an early MVP candidate the way he's been playing right now, running and passing all over the place. Man, it's going to be a tough one. The Lions are getting Kenny Galladay back. That's a huge plus. But then they have Patrick Peterson to match up with him. Last year, this is kind of like a revenge game for the Lions, where it's hard to say revenge because it was a tie, but they're up 24-6 going in the fourth quarter last year and ended up with a tie. It was very embarrassing. I would argue that loss to the Bears felt better than a tie to the Cardinals. I hate a tie. There's nothing worse than a tie. It's just an empty feeling. But the Lions in this game are going to have their hands absolutely full. This is where a guy like Jamie Collins, this is why you sign him. The Lions are most likely, I believe, going to rush 3 passers most of this game and use Jamie Collins as a spy on Kyler Murray. But, the Cardinals have ways to counteract that. They've been doing a lot of this fake run to the left, and Kyler Murray spins out and runs to the right out in the open pocket. So he has the option to run, or he throws it for 40 yards down the field. And he's been throwing it with a tremendous amount of accuracy, and that's why they sign a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. They have speed with Andy Isabella. Larry Fitzgerald is still playing at a high level. They still have Christian Kirk, and the Lions' defensive backs are depleted. This is going to be rough, and that doesn't even include the fact that they have to prove they can stop the run at some point. Kenyon Drake hasn't done much this year, but he's definitely capable. This Cardinals' offensive line is arguably the worst they'll see, but at least from a run game perspective, I think it's a little worse than the Bears actually, but. It doesn't matter because the pass game, I'm saying the Cardinals' offensive line is worse than the Bears, Barney. So small compliment, I guess, if you will, from me there, that the Bears aren't the worst offensive line in the league.
I'll take it.
But yeah, it's all about how the Lions' defense performs in this game because I think the Lions' offense is going to get about 24 to 30 points in this game. They proved they could do it last year. This is roughly the same Cardinals defense with Isaiah Simmons thrown in, although Isaiah Simmons got benched last week, their first-round draft pick. So he hasn't been much of a factor for them yet. But it's all about stopping Kyler Murray and stopping the game on the ground, and then we'll see what happens in the air. But, I've been picking the Lions to win the last 2 weeks. It hasn't been working. So I'm going to go 28-24 Cardinals in this one.
Wow.
I had to do it.
Abandoned ship.
I'm hoping for reversed karma here. I really am. But I have the Lions covering the 5.5 point spread for what it's worth. Until they can prove they can stop the run, I can't pick them to win. I'm sorry.
Well, you're thinking,
and they're going against the best running quarterback in the NFL this year.
You're thinking with your head there, and it's the first time you've done that all season. So I just want to congratulate you.
I would have been right week 1 if they caught a touchdown pass.
But I think you're right. That offense in Arizona seems pretty tough to beat right now. And like you said, especially a couple in the injuries. I just think the talent difference from the Arizona offense to the Detroit defense is just a massive gap. I do expect there to be a lot of points, though. I think that that over's close. I think they'll come pretty close to that line
55.
there. It's a high one. You say 55?
55, yeah, highest of the weekend.
So, yeah, I don't see Arizona slowing down on offense, and quite frankly, I don't think Stafford will have a bad day or not with, especially with future Bear Kenny Galladay coming back. But I just don't think they'll score enough. So I'm going to say in a high-scoring game, 34-27, Arizona.
All right. Remy, what do you feel in this one?
I want the Lions to win, Big Z. I really do.
Me too, man. Me too.
But I got the Cardinals putting up points. Like I said, Kyler Murray, if you took him before the season started at MVP, plus 2,500. Now into week 2, he's like plus 1,200. And I'm taking that bet, and the MVP can't let up. So I'm going to say it's got to be 20-10 Arizona.
20-10. All right. No faith in my Lions offense, man. All right. I don't see them only getting 10 points out of this one personally. But Kinger, go.
This is not the matchup that the Lions want, I don't think, right now, coming off that shellacking to Green Bay last week. With one of the most electric offenses in the NFL right now, another superstar receiver with DeAndre Hopkins. Offense that's vibing versus a very lowly Lions defense right now. 31-20 Arizona at home.
All right.
The trend continues.
Right. Yep. Well, I didn't pick my own team, so
and Kinger.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Well, I guess this one was unanimous here, but Kinger, you said a pretty blowout score here. I just want to talk about that line. Like, I think Matt Stafford is one of those quarterbacks that you just can't, take the other team first, especially if he's got a decent, offense in terms of injuries and personnel that's out there. I mean, a team can be up 10, 12, whatever, and, garbage time type, 4 minutes left. Matt Stafford is just one of those guys like Aaron Rodgers that really just needs about 35 seconds to get in the scoring position. So we both said, pretty big, I guess all of us said pretty big deficits there, but
I 28-24.
I can't take, well, I'm not counting you, but, I mean, Stafford, I just wanted to say, like, he's one of those guys that just pulls backdoor covers out like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, especially this year, if the defense keeps playing the way they're playing. The one thing I will say about Stafford that's really frustrating me is, and Kinger, you saw it in the game last week, where he's holding on the ball for inexplicably long periods of time. Nobody's open. He's not throwing it away. We saw it last week. It cost them where they're at their own 5-yard line, and he held on to it like at the half-yard line. Luckily, it didn't count as a safety, but it cost them. So he did it against the Bears game too. Barney took that sack that took him out of that took him from a 40-yard field goal to a 55-yard field goal. Then they ended up missing it, and then gave Bears great field position.
Right.
So I'm hoping this is preseason jitters. He missed the last 8 games last year, and he's improved. But let's move on to the final game of the NFC North weekend. That is Sunday night. Kinger, the Packers in a big game, going to New Orleans, 3.5-point underdogs. And the over-under is 52.5. How are you feeling about this game, Kinger?
Gentlemen, let me tell you, I'm excited for this one. This is one that I've had. This is a game that it's been circled on my calendar for a while. Briefly mentioned last week, was really looking forward to Rodgers going into a packed Superdome versus Breeze. No fans in the stands will make things a little different, but heading into the season, I'll be honest, this was a game that really I was gonna, had some questions around my confidence in Green Bay's ability to go down there and win in New Orleans. But let me tell you, after these first couple weeks and watching New Orleans play a little bit of football, that is not the case anymore. And I'm actually, really excited and think that Green Bay has a good chance to go into New Orleans again and put on another good performance. Just to start, Green Bay is, leading the league offensively right now in offensive points and total yards. The Saints defense has been, average so far. They've been able to get to the quarterback and produce some sacks as well as a couple interceptions, but overall have not been a dominant defense by any means so far. So nobody's really proven thus far that they've been able to stop Green Bay. Granted, we haven't really seen two of what we'd call elite defenses in the NFL right now with the Vikings and the Lions. But regardless, they've looked great. So, I'm excited to watch Rodgers again, hopefully go to work. I expect a high scoring game. And it's just going to come down to really what we can do on the defensive side of the ball as always. Michael Thomas missed practice. Well, actually, I don't think the Saints practiced today. I think, they had to release an injury report per the NFL. But I don't think they actually practiced today, but he was listed as out as a non-participant. They're not sure if he's going to be able to go on Sunday.
Who is that?
Michael Thomas.
Yeah. So,
right now,
that's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I mean, Green Bay's corners have been the strength of their defense, thus far this year. Both Jair and Kevin King have had outstanding seasons thus far. So you really got to give the matchup on the outside, the matchup edge to Green Bay in that case, right? Traquan Smith, Emmanuel Sanders, their big free agent signing's been very quiet thus far this year, with no Michael Thomas. So really where I think it's going to come down to is going to be New Orleans' ability to run the ball. Green Bay's defense has been a little shaky with that this year. No Kenny Clark still. Kamara scares me. He only 16 rushing yards week 1, bounced back last week with, I think, 90 on the ground and then another 9 catches for a bunch of yards as well. So if Kamara gets going, the Saints definitely can move the ball. So we just got to we'll see if we're able to step up and really prevent him, because I think he's the matchup. Breeze arm strength's been a question, averaging 4.5 yards or something like that per throw. So I think Green Bay is going to really want to load the box, allow our guys to be one-on-one on the outside and make Breeze beat us. So I'm very excited about this high scoring game as well. I do think Green Bay as an underdog, you got to love that to cover the 3. I got Green Bay winning 31-28.
Yeah, and you got to love the way Drew Brees is playing right now. He's the 32nd out of 38 qualifying quarterbacks in PFF grade. That's bad. And Aaron Rodgers is number 1. That's a huge difference in the most important position on the football field going in this game. And Michael Thomas is not playing. That's a huge plus for Green Bay.
Definitely. The Saints obviously have Lattimore, and if they don't have, and Janoris Jenkins is a good number 2 corner as well. He had a pick 6 week 1 versus Brady. But with no Devontae, that's obviously going to hurt the Packers offense. And, having some of these other guys step up versus, probably the best cornerback duo, definitely the best cornerback duo that we've faced thus far this season, it's going to be a new challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Barney, how do you feel about the Packers on Sunday night? You gonna give them any love?
I'd say things are kind of shaping out for them with the slow start that New Orleans had and laying a dud on Monday Night Football. And then, just one of the loudest arenas in the entire world, the Superdome, not having any fans. I mean, that's got to only help, right? But, there's something about good teams like New Orleans, and I would say the same thing about like Green Bay had they lost last week. When you get punched in the mouth early on in the season, elite teams, they rarely lose 2 in a row. Now, with that being said, when they're lining up toe-to-toe, it's very even. I would almost say I like Green Bay just a little bit more. But, I'm just going to go with a very tight game. Could be the person that has the ball last. But I'm going to give New Orleans an edging out by a field goal. I'm going to say 27, 24.
All right. Remy.
These are the absolute top 2 teams that I hate the most in football, with the Packers number 1 and the Saints number 2 for obvious reasons. And, as much as I don't bet on the Packers. I don't root for the Packers. I don't bet on the Saints. I don't root for the Saints. That being said, we talked about it earlier. Ties are no fun. This game's going to end in 34-34. And there's going to be a little tiny blemish in that 2-0-1 record, and it's going to be hilarious.
The first tie call out of the year. I love it.
You should actually go look up what the odds are to bet on a tie for that game, Remy, and do it. Just if you're throwing that out there, you got to do it.
Hot take Remy has been very, very hot with the betting
very
game.
Hot.
Oh man! All right, and then my feelings on this game. I if Michael Thomas is playing, that might change it. But what I saw from the Saints last week against the Raiders offense, that I thought was just maybe slightly above mediocre. If Derek Carr can carve up that Saints defense, I feel really good about what the Packers defense or offense is going to do against the Saints this week. So I like the Packers to win this one. I have it 34-25. 34-25 is my score for this game. So I think the Packers match up really well. In addition to the fact the Packers always get the calls, and the Saints are leading the NFL right now in penalties. So
yeah, how many penalties did they have
throwing that
game?
In there?
Like 123 yards worth of penalties? That's nuts.
Yeah, they have 22 accepted penalties on the year, the Saints, for over 250 yards, I think. It might be a little higher than that, but that's just off the top of my head. But they definitely are leading the league.
Hey, you gotta keep the franchise in a small market like Green Bay, so I get it.
All right, so time for the final segment, gentlemen and listeners. And that's our more fun one, if you will, and it's been going pretty well for everybody. And that's our best bets. So our 3 best bets for Week 3 of the NFL season. Since we are recording this on Wednesday night and be posting before the Thursday night game, that is eligible for this week. But let's go around. We'll start with you, Kinger, just on top left of my screen here. What are your 3 best bets for the weekend? Oh, and wait, before we start, Barney, do you want to give a recap on the standings so far?
Yeah. So right now, Kinger and I are sharing the lead with first, and then you guys, Remy and Big Z, you guys are tied for, I'll say second and be kind.
Yeah, I'm only one behind you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But golf wouldn't call it second.
It's a matter of how you twist the words around, right? All right, Kinger, let's start with you, man.
This was a tough week of Lions, fellas. This was, I think we're going to have we got some good matchups this week, and there's a lot of games to look forward to. So I'm going to start. Barney actually was trying to talk me out of this earlier, but I'm still pretty confident, especially with just how porous Detroit's defense is. I like Arizona at home to keep the momentum going, -5.5. Again, I don't think Detroit's going to be able to slow down that offense. So I'm going to take them at home. I'm going to take another NFC North game as well. I like the over in the Bears-Falcons game. I normally am not a Mitch believer, but with, again, how banged up that Falcons defense is, this has got to be his week. They've even got him as a fantasy starter this week. I'm seeing that, and that's when you know the opposing defense isn't any good. So I'm going to take the over in that game, expect a lot of points. And then the final game, it's going to seem like I'm a hater again, but again, traveling east off a team that's looked excellent so far with one of the best quarterbacks in the league to date this season. I like the Bills at home, -2 versus the Rams. I like Josh Allen to keep rolling.
That'll be a good one, the Bills-Rams. That'll be a really good one. Those two teams are on fire right now to start the year. Let's go to Barney for Barney's best bets.
Kind of like you, Kinger, I'm expecting a lot of good games. I looked at these lines right now, and I'm licking my chops with quite a few of them. So what that tells me is it's a red flag, and this might be my worst week ever. But so because of that, I'm only going to take one spread here, and that's, I think, with the injuries with Atlanta, I think 4 points is a lot to give up. And so I'm taking Chicago at Atlanta +4. The next game I have is that Rams-Buffalo game. I'm going to take the under 47. I think the Rams got a good offense rolling. Looks like McVay is more the 2018 McVay than what happened last year. Mm-hmm. However, Buffalo is just stout and they're disciplined. I think Aaron Donald does enough on the Rams defensive side to make him uncomfortable. So I think this is just going to be a low-scoring game. So I'm going with the under 47 there. And same thing with Tampa Bay and Denver. I'm going the under 43.5. I love low number unders, especially this one. I think with Denver, with Drew Lock out, they got Jeff Driscoll in there who did all right, coming in last game, but
they just signed Blake Bortles.
And they just signed the boat. But it's at Denver too, so I really don't expect, teams usually don't play well at Denver. And they don't put up a lot of points because of that altitude adjustment, or at least that's usually the biggest storyline whenever a team goes there. So I'm just expecting a low-scoring game, something like 20-17. So the under at 43.5, Tampa Bay, Denver.
All right, interesting stuff. Let's go to Remy now. Remy, what do you got?
So I got, for whatever reason, my second favorite team out of no reason. I got the Bengals over Philly +5. I also like that Ram game too, but I got to give the edge to the Rams at +2. And then my final game is that Tampa Bay Bronco game, except TB12 is coming in hot looking for a dub. So I'm taking Tampa Bay at -6.
All right. Tom Brady struggles in Denver. Don't forget that.
He
That's
does.
Just one kryptonite kind of place.
New era, new team. Who dis?
All right. So I was really tempted to go with the Cowboys, but I'm going to switch it at the last second. I wanted to confirm. So 10% or 25% of the bets are on the Cowboys, but 90% of the money is on the Cowboys. So I'm going to stay away from that. I don't like that. But I'm going to go with the Packers 3.5. On the Sunday night game, I like the Chiefs also 3.5 this weekend. anytime the Chiefs are underdogs at more than a field goal, I'm going to take that for sure. And that's probably a field goal game when you come to think of it. And then I like my confidence in the score that I predicted earlier. So I'm going to go with the Lions at 5.5 points. I think they keep it close. They play the Cardinals tight every time they've played them. And last year they figured out Kyler Murray for 3 quarters and then let him loose in the fourth quarter. But I think Matt Patricia has a plan to keep Kyler Murray in the pocket, and I think that's going to keep the game nice and close. So those are our best bets for Week 3 in the NFL weekend. If you've been taking them here, you've been making money.
Well, on Barney and my picks, not on your guys' picks.
I'm talking about overall, you know. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for us here in our Week 3 preview. This is The Pylon, an NFC North podcast. Please follow us on Instagram at The Pylon. Please subscribe. Please leave a review. We really appreciate it. We got a lot of reviews and ratings, so just keep it coming. We really appreciate it. And if, in the review, just give us feedback if you want. I don't care. We can take it.
We encourage it, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Or just, send us a message on Instagram.
And if the game goes sour in Minnesota, just shoot Remy some love. He's having a dark start to the year.
Just keep believing. Or should I say, keep
like
feeling.
There you go. Attaboy. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a great weekend.